If you learn how to fail, you will surely succeed. You're listening to the Surging Forward podcast. Hello, and welcome to the Surging Forward broadcast, where we're helping you to have a positive view in a negative world. My name is David Valentine, and I'm here to help you see the value in the job you do and how you can keep surging forward. Well, hello again, and welcome to the Surging Forward podcast. I'm your host, Dave Valentine, and I just want to say it's a pleasure to be back again. I just got back from a fantastic trip. I had the privilege and the honor of attending the ABC National Apprenticeship Competition. So we're going to talk about that today, and just give you some little highlights of the trip. But if this is your first time listening, I always like to welcome my first time listeners. This podcast was started a little over a year and a half ago, and we're on episode 83. So today we're going to be talking about learning how to fail. You have to learn to fail before you succeed. So we're going to be talking about that. Kind of an interesting analogy, and it's actually a topic that I heard quite a bit of this past week as I was at the competition. Very, very exciting times. I always enjoy going to the competition. I had one of my students there, and he did very well. There's over 200 some odd apprentices there who are competing against with everything from welding to carpentry to plumbing, HVAC, instrumentation, electrical, carpentry. What else is there? Millwrights, pipe fitters, sprinkler guys. It was just amazing. Men and women in this trade competing nationwide from all over the country. So it's just a neat thing. And I always make a point of trying to talk to as many apprentices as I can. And so that's a lot of people to try to get around to because, of course, I can't talk to them while they're competing. So it was really neat. And I also had the privilege, I wanted to give a shout out to Elizabeth with the Construction Citizen blog. What a pleasure. I was able to do an interview with that. And so if you haven't read the Construction Citizen blog, or if you do read that, you want to make sure you look them up online and check out that video. Very cool. They did a video interview with me, and that's a blog that goes out for those that work in construction. A lot of great information, a lot of different people write for that blog, and I put a few articles here and there in that. So great opportunity, great thing. It's just a wonderful thing to see men and women working in the construction field. You see, the trades have gotten a bad name. It just seems like Hollywood and all that, they just portrays people as not being skilled. Well, I'm going to tell you, you need to be proud to be a tradesperson. That is something that it takes a lot of skill to be good at it. And I'm going to tell you something. Those of you that struggle in the trade, there are opportunities for you to move up. Right? Just listening to this podcast, you can get a lot of cool ideas of how to make your job easier and to acquire those skills. Because that's the hard thing. A lot of people who have a lot of skills, they don't tolerate a lot of craziness there because you can get hurt, even killed. I mean, it's a tough job out there working in the rain and the cold, out in the elements, to make sure that civilized society functions. I mean, it is the crux of everything we do. So be proud to be a tradesman. It's very important. That's my new hashtag. If you go to my Facebook page, you see me tagging that all over the place now. To be proud to be a tradesman. And I'm looking forward to some of the opportunities coming up because that's whenever I go to speak at events or I go talk at students or wherever like that, I'm telling them, thank a tradesman. If you have lights in your house, if you have, running water, if you have a roof over your head, if your house is warm in the wintertime and if it's nice and cool in the summertime, guess what? Thank a tradesman. That's what it's all about. So, but that's what this show is about. This show is about encouraging those in the trades and how they, or you, I should say, can keep surging forward. And the funny thing is, I never realized what was going to happen when I started this podcast. And I have to make a confession here. It's kind of a great thing. I never realized how much influence everyone that I talk to who have listened to this podcast or respond back to me in email, how it was going to keep me surging forward. I'm just, the encouragement that I get, it's just amazing. I never thought it was going to come back to me that way. So keep those emails flooding through. I read every one of them. The direct messages, I check those out because I know a lot of you guys and women who are out there, you may not want to put your question out there on Facebook. And hey, I can understand that. It's rough out there. Like I say, to be a tradesman, you got to have some thick skin sometimes because, you ask the crazy question out there and it might be a great legitimate question. But there are some tough guys out there that will not let you loose and they just love to beat up on you. That is unfortunate, but it's a fact. It's just out there. So I'm going to be addressing some of that in the trades because, everybody has gone through tough times. And so you got to remember, a lot of times that negativity comes from people because, to be honest, they just figure they're going to be negative because they don't have a very good self-esteem themselves. But I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not going to be able to help all people deal with that. But what I can do is help you to keep surging forward. So we're going to be talking about that today in episode 83, Learning to Fail So You Can Succeed. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute before we actually get into the topic. But I do want to give out the website. If you want to find out more about how you can grow your career, we have courses on how to get a contractor's license in your state, the pre-test that needs to be done, the pre-course requirements. We have your code update classes for your state, for HVAC, plumbing, even wastewater treatment. I know we have some of the CEUs for people that are in wastewater treatment, some of the maintenance plans and different things like that. So we have code courses available for your license upgrade, and we have license prep courses. So you can check that out at www.surgingforward.com. So again, I want to welcome you if you're a new listener. And for those of you that have been listening for a while, I want to thank you for your support. So, if you're not on Facebook, that's great. Check me out on LinkedIn. You can find me at Dave Ballantyne. Or if you are on Facebook, hey, check out the Facebook Surging Forward page. Make sure you like us there. It's growing. I want to say go ahead and share as much of the information you have because that's part of Surging Forward. You see, serving others and helping others with the information, that's what it's about. This podcast that I do every week, it's because I'm passing it forward. And so if you can learn to pass things forward to others in the trade, that's going to continue to help your surging forward. Believe me, I am shocked at how much comes back to me of the encouragement, just like I said earlier. So let me go ahead with today's topic here. It was a very interesting topic because I was out there in California. Again, I try to talk to each one of the apprentices, and there's over 200 some odd apprentices out there. So it's really hard to talk to all of them, especially after hours. So I try to hit, all the places where they're hanging out and just try to talk with a lot of them. But a lot of them, you see, you got to understand, it was like up to 30 competitors in each competition. Some had 10, some had 8, some had 20, some had 10. The issue is there's only 3 awards. First, second, and third. So somebody's going to lose. And you've got a lot of high-octane guys and women out there that are pretty much the best of the best from nationwide who won a competition locally to be able to get to this competition. And they were sponsored by a company, and they're out there, and it's 2 grueling days of written practical and an all-day competition where they actually have to build a whole project. They got like 16 hours worth of work to do in 8 hours. So a lot of stuff to do, a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, a lot of leadership training they get. So it's a unique opportunity. But these people are A personalities. They take pride in their work. They're experts in their field at a young age. Some of these are third, fourth year apprentices. So, my friend, these are not just fly-by-night guys who are barely struggling in school. No, these are people with real skill. So the problem is, if they didn't place, a lot of them were very bummed out and said they failed. Well, I encouraged each and every one of them that I came across and said, no, you did not fail. Because you got to understand, many people think of failing at a task or not achieving your dream within 24 hours. Yeah, some people feel like they need to achieve their dream within 2 weeks, otherwise they're a failure. So that's not considered a failure. You know, if they think, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. They think that they've been washed up and they're never going to recover. You see, number one, I know people who have been in the field and working hard, and not even in the field, just life itself. And after 30, 40 years, they still haven't achieved their dream. But they're still pushing forward. And they're still surging forward. Because it's just that dream should always stay alive. You should never lose your dream. You see, just because you fail at a task or you haven't achieved your dream in 24 hours or 2 weeks or 6 months or whatever you set the goal for, it doesn't mean that you're washed up and done. You see, as soon as you fail at something or you fail to reach a deadline, a lot of times people set their eyes and they start looking at everybody else who they seem like they have the golden touch. And everything they touch just turns to gold and they look like they're perfect. The problem with that is you don't look at somebody else for your success. You see, many times those people they look like they have the golden touch or everything they're doing is perfect. Number one, they're not going to tell you about the struggles that it took for them to get there. They're also not going to tell you about the struggles in their own life going on right now. I mean, just take a look at Hollywood. I mean, you see all the craziness going on. You have these very successful, high influential people, and they're in the limelight, and they commit suicide, or something happens. You see, because they have inner struggles that they can't share with anybody. And they have to put on this facade to make it look like they're successful. And it is so hard. It's a tough deal. So people aren't always as successful as you think they are. A lot of people have hidden emotions behind the scenes. And we need to all understand that and be sensitive to that. So just don't look at somebody and say, hey, wow, they got it made in the shade because they have everything. You don't know their struggle. Okay? The real question is, you need to look to you and say, what is success for you? It's the only you can really say. It's not always about money, my friends. Yeah, we all want to make $1. We got to make some money out there. We all got to pay our bills. But, I mean, do you want your name in lights? Maybe you just want to raise your family. Maybe you just want to be close to your family. That can bring a lot of success and happiness to a lot of people. And there's a lot of people looking for that, and they never, ever will have that. So that's something very valuable right there. If you have a big family and large family and you get together with your family all the time, that's success. Some people out there, they just want to maybe run their own business. But that's great. You got to look at what needs to be done to run your own business. You need to learn about it. You just can't jump out there. You can be the most skilled tradesman out there, best electrician, best plumber out there. You jump out there and you run your own business. Wow. Within a year, you could lose everything you have and barely be able to make it, and you may have been in jail. Who knows? So you have to understand the rules to the game. Just because you're the best at one thing doesn't mean you're going to be good at something else. So understand what is success for you. What are you looking for in success? Now, if you want to run your own business, that's great. I have a lot of tools on my website that can help you learn to run your own business. Give me a shout. Send me an email. I will definitely help you out. DM me on Facebook, whatever the case may be. I can point you in the right direction. So what I want to do is I want to talk about 3 points that you need to think about learning how to fail so that you can succeed. Now, I want to get number one out of the way right off the bat. I just want to level the playing field and get to the point right away so I can relieve any kind of stress that you might have of, oh, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to mess up. What if I fail? Well, buddy and friends, you're going to fail. Let's get that point out of the way right now. You're going to fail at some things. You may even fail at some things that you know how to do very well. My friends, it's a part of life. Understanding and accepting this is going to help you be able to look into why did you fail in the first place? And what can I do better? So you're going to fail. You can't try to do and think you're going to be perfect at everything. The stress that you're going to have to carry to be able to meet that qualification, my God, it's going to drive you insane. All right? Now, it doesn't mean you set out to fail. Yes, you try to do everything the best you can. But there will be instances. Wow, I'm just a wonderful pronunciator. My English teacher will be going nuts right now, I think. But there's going to be times when you're going to fail. So you need to evaluate those times. It's called, let me look at lessons learned. What caused me to fail? And what do I need to change so I don't make that same mistake twice? Point number 2. Sometimes the reason that you fail is because there's nothing that you could have done to make the situation better. The weather ruined your schedule so you couldn't meet the deadline. I mean, you can't change the weather. There's nothing you can do with that. You've got to pick up where you left off and do your best to complete it as quick as you can and not lose any more time. Maybe there's an issue with some parts that were supposed to come in. Or maybe you had a presentation meeting you had to do and you were going in for a big thing and all of a sudden a flight was delayed. And maybe you even took the advantage. You said, my gosh, I'm going to fly out a day earlier just to get there on time. But still, maybe that something happened at the airport and it got delayed. There's a lot of things that are beyond our control, that we have no control. And no matter how well you plan, you're not going to complete the task. So did you fail? No. Things happen that are beyond our control. So we need to accept that and keep surging forward. Yes, it is. Keep surging forward, one step at a time. So that was point number 2. Point number 3. Now, this one is really one of the worst. And I only picked 3 points because these are the most common things. As I was sharing with some things up in Long Beach there with many, many people. I was kind of taking some mental notes here. This one's dear to me also because it's happened to me. And I have a story I could tell, and I'd be here for another hour sharing that story. But if you listen to some of the past podcasts, I've shared this story over time. But this is one of the toughest reasons that we fail. And I feel like it's really one of the worst. But we fail because of betrayal. This is going to be one of the hardest ones to get over, my friends. It's tough. And I've been betrayed, like I said. And I want to give you a way to get over this. You see, you have to keep moving forward. The first thing that comes into your mind when you're betrayed, it's just like, all right, I'm going to get back at that dude. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I've had it. I'm taking him to court. I'm going to get him for everything he's got. I'm going to rip his head off. Whatever goes through your mind. Just the anger. And, my friends, that's normal. I just want to put that out there. But the problem is, from one, you don't want to take out any of those negative attitudes. Now, yeah, maybe you have to take them to court. Maybe you have to do some things. But then if it lingers on too long, there's only one way you're going to truly get through this. And I want to share this with you from the bottom of my heart. Only one way that you're ever going to get through somebody betraying you. And my friends, that's through forgiveness. Now, before you shut this off and get all ticked off at me, yes, it means you have to forgive that person. Now, let me put this quote in there. Forgiving is not condoning or letting them off the hook. all that does is allows you to get rid of all that negative energy, like the hatred, the revenge, and all that stuff. Because harboring all these things is what's going to cause you to never be able to succeed at anything, because you're always allowing that person to win. Yeah. When you hold those anger and that hatred and you continually have that negative energy towards that person, you've allowed him to win, and he's winning and keeping you in bondage. So that betrayal is continually to hold on to you. You see, once you forgive that person, you release yourself from that, and you move on to bigger and better things, and you leave them behind. You see, we don't make the choice for somebody else's actions. Somebody else chose to hurt you or betray you or let you down. Oh yeah, buddy, there's a grieving process, no doubt. How long does it last? I couldn't tell you. My situation went on for up to 3 years before I finally said, hey, I gotta stop. And if I wouldn't have stopped, here I am, almost 11 years later, I would still be an angry, angry person, and I probably would have lost many, 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 many jobs. Probably would have lost my family, but I would have still had anger towards him, and I'm going to get him someday. So what's the value that would have done for my life? So yeah, it took me 3 years. But you might take less, might take you 3 months, might take you a couple years, but don't let it linger long, because the longer it holds you, that's where it's got a grip on you. And again, forgiving does not mean you condone what that person did. What that person did was wrong. And, you know, if you've ran down all the avenues of legal justice you can get from them, and there's nothing else you can do, you need to cut them off. Don't even think about them anymore. Move on. I'm lucky I still remember the name of the guy that messed me over in my business, because I put him out of my life. I don't care at this point how much money he lost. I don't care that he destroyed. I don't care. I've moved on. So betrayal is something, you know, it happens in marriage. It happens in life. And it's tough. But there comes a time. So that forgiveness, my friends, is not for that person. It has nothing to do with that. Most of the time, that person doesn't even know you forgave them. And 9 times out of 10, if they're that big of a jerk, they don't really care. The forgiveness is for you. Yeah, it's for you. It's for you to move on and get rid of all that negativity. So that's the toughest thing. That's the toughest thing for failure, is because it's so hard to move on after you've been betrayed. And I, of all people, understand that. So if you've ever been betrayed in a business, if you've ever been betrayed by a best friend, if you've ever been betrayed by a spouse, hey, my friends, I'm not a marriage counselor, but I'm going to tell you what, I'll listen. And you're probably going to hear me give the same advice, because it's the only advice I know. And again, I can't make you forgive anybody either. It's all about choice. Every one of these things that I just talked about, it's about a choice. You can choose to keep surging forward, or you can choose to stop and be a slave to that negativity that's holding you back from your success. There's nothing in this world that can hold you back from being who you want to be. If you want to be the best of the best of the best, hey, there's plenty of training out there. And if you can't afford the training, oh my gosh, there's no excuse nowadays. Hey, just click on a YouTube channel. You can pretty much figure out what's the good training, what's the bad training right off the bat. When you watch plenty of them, you can decipher on your own. There's a lot of good training out there, but be careful. There is a lot of bad training. But there's a lot of training that you can get. And yeah, eventually you want to start paying for it. And once you start making money, you'll pay more money for the better training. I can never get enough training. I always enjoy going to different trainings. So don't let anybody tell you that you can't succeed. You see, all of these things happen in our lives to make us stronger, so that you will be able to succeed, and so you can serve others and help them succeed. You see, life is like a tree. And if you look at a real strong oak tree, it's been through many, many storms. you see the more storms, and you look at those rings when you cut a tree down and you look at the rings there, you look at those harsh seasons, and they're thicker, and they're stronger. And that's what makes that core of that tree strong. During the times where everything's going good, it's not as strong. And it didn't have to build up anything. It didn't have to do anything. So that's why some trees, when they have the bad storms, you could see some trees, they stand up and they can weather it. And other trees, they seem to snap because they were never able to go through any tough times. That's kind of what happens in our lives, my friends. If you don't fail, if you don't go through tough times, more than likely, you're probably not going to be able to succeed in whatever you're trying to do. So learn how to accept that failure, how to learn from that failure, how to not make that same mistake twice, and go forth and keep surging forward. Hey, my friends, that's what I have for you this week. I want to thank you for another fantastic week. It's been a pleasure. Again, check out the website at www.surgingforward.com and share this podcast with a friend. You go on Facebook and you look up on Surging Forward, or you look up my name, Dave Ballantyne. You'll see me out there. Also, too, check out, if you go to the website, you'll see my book, Time to Fly, that I co-authored and helped out with. It's just a daily motivational that'll help you each day just to read a little inspiring message to keep you surging forward. Great book. You can get it on the website at www.surgingforward.com. Love for you to get a copy. Also, it's, like I said, it's always a pleasure, and I want to thank you for the emails. Keep them coming in. But, do your part to keep surging forward. I was impressed, and again, I keep seeing the numbers. I never thought this would get so big, but now I'm on a roll. I'm now looking for the, maybe the 1,000 likes on Facebook or something like that. I'm going for the $10,000 mark. Not $10,000, I'm sorry, 10,000 people. It's not really about the money. I don't charge anything for these podcasts. I do it for you. So I want to make sure that I'm reaching as many people as I can, because we put this out to make all of us proud to be a tradesman, because you're the one that built America. And yes, you did. You built that. You made that happen. You turn those lights on. You make that hot air come out. You make that cold air come out. You make that water flow where it needs to be going. And you make those 2x4 strong. You help build our roads. And you just keep us running. So I want to thank you personally for helping me to be able to live in the wonderful house I live. Because I'm an electrician, that's great. But I don't know a whole lot about plumbing. So I always thank a plumber for all the stuff. And I got a guy, he comes around my house and does my HVAC for me. So, again, thank you very much for all that you do. If you need anything, you know where I'm at. Stay safe, my friends, and keep surging forward. Until next week, bring a friend next time, and you have a great, fantastic week. Bye-bye, and God bless.